So I'm going to go live, and I'm sure there's some kind of a delay, but we're good. We here. We in this, fam. We doing it. So
All right.
So Heather Wells, hello.
Hello.
Thank you for thanks for asking about this. And this is something I've been wanting to do forever, which is talk about UTM parameters, because you've probably seen this stuff before, and it's really valuable. But if you don't understand how it all works and how to use it, it can just kind of seem like, you know, just extra steps, stuff you don't have to do. So when we're talking about UTMs, we're talking about this stuff here. You've probably seen this on URLs, UTM source, UTM medium. This is data that feeds Google Analytics. And you can actually do reporting in Google Analytics off of this. So the idea is anytime you have a link anywhere and you're driving traffic somewhere, you want to be able to get the cleanest data possible. So it's like when they pin a note to your shirt as a stupid little kid, it's basically like pinning a note to your link and basically saying, hey, Google Analytics, this is how I want you to track this. Because otherwise, Google's going to do its best guess. It's going to guess what the source is. It's going to guess the medium, and we don't want to leave that up to chance. And so the idea here, if you think of it like a pyramid where you start the broadest at the top and work your way down. And I was talking about this earlier before I said let's go live. So for you, Heather, this is a review. But everybody watching, this is new. Everything starts at the highest level and gets down, in theory, to the individual click. So like the source, and then what's the medium, and then the actual name of the campaign, the term, and the content. And historically, this comes from like Google Ads as far as like name, term, and content, right? But the idea is that you have always the highest level distinction, and then what's the medium within that. So for example, we'll look at an example in a moment inside Keep, but like the source can be like Keep. Like where did the link come from? It came from Keep. But what's the medium? Did it come from an email? Did it come from like a web page? That kind of thing, right? And then the actual thing, the name of the thing in the medium, and then we were talking about ads, right? So the OAK description, objective, audience, and creative. So when I'm running ads, I would do something like, I would do something like this. Like, so it's always meta as the source, the medium's always ad, and then for the campaign name, I would actually put the name of the campaign. For the term, I would actually put the name of the ad set, which is the audience. And then for the content, it would be the individual ad within that ad set. So if I had, 5 different ads, right, that are all going to the same page, basically this information would all be the same, and then it would be something like, ad 1 for the first ad, and then ad 2 for the second, right? Because I want to get down to the individual click. Where did it actually come from? And so another example would be like, let's say you have like a 20-page free report, right? And you have a call to action in the footer, of each page, go here, right? You could do something like, for the source, I would say something like, we can say it's direct because it's my own thing, right? The medium, well, let's just say it's a report, and then the report would be, I don't know, UTMs. And then report, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, whatever, UTMs, and then maybe I give the name of, it's a report, and then maybe it's UTMs, and then maybe it's like, whatever, the 24 version of it, right? And then I can do like page 1, right? So, and obviously it's all pointing to whatever page we want it to go to from there. Well, what you can do, you could actually create a QR code for page 1 and put that on the physical report. And then you go do a QR code at the bottom and the footer of page 2, right? And so if it's a 20-page report, you'll actually be able to tell which QR code people scanned in order to get to whatever the call to action is, right? And then if I was, let's just say that I did have like a generic, call to action, I would probably just do something like, go here for whatever. I would have that redirect to something that packs all this info in here. So I at least know, fine, they came from the footer in the page.
Got it.
So yeah, every single individual link. So let me go ahead and show you a real world example of how I do like blog post notifications, right? So here we are. This is the latest. By the way, if you've not got the campaign of the month for the contacting short-term nurture, go get that. But basically, in these emails, there are there's 2 links to the blog post where they can get it right. There's the image, and then there's the button. And every single one of these, they're pointing to the same place, but the UTM parameter is different just at the very end. So check this out. We'll go into the actual email here. Oh my God! Ha! You want to hear something hilarious? So, of course, I'm using Keep to collect, the list of wedding registrants, and for the wedding next month, right? So when I went to go send this notification here, I just wanted to send it to the most recently engaged folks that are on my list, not remembering that also includes like friends and family that have nothing to do with business and they're doing weddings. So I started, and I have, when people opt out, I get a notification to, like, if there's a phone number on file, go reach out, find out what happened. And so I see an opt out from like her cousin and then like another cousin, and I'm like, oh crap, I totally didn't. I forgot that the most engaged. Yeah, so that was fun. But hey, now they at least know a little bit about what I do. So anyway, so let's.
Now you have to reach out to them and be like, hey, I'm gonna opt you back in, but I promise.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. But then,
because I still need to send you wedding info.
But look at this. This one went out, and then 8 days later, the next one goes out if they didn't click, because I just do that for all my blog posts, right?
Right.
And so yesterday, this one went out. So I forgot. So I noticed this, and then I also forgot to go ahead and remove that list of people from this automation. So my bassist replied, because he's coming, and he's like, what am I supposed to do with this? I'm like, crap, I'm sorry, buddy. So anyway, UTM's right here. So let's go ahead and compare. Ooh, and so you can't see, you couldn't see, because we're zooming it here. You can't see the notepad, but my screen sees it. Let me go ahead and reshare.
Yes.
Which note?
It'll be better on the next one.
So you can see the blank notepad, right?
Now I can see that. Yes.
Okay, cool.
And your Google Voice window.
Okay, good. Oh, cool, great. We'll just go ahead and live. You never know what's going to happen. And then let's look at this second link, right? So you can click on the image and go to the blog post. You can click on the actual button and go to it. And it's technically going to the same place here, right?
Right.
But notice the UTMs here. And then I guess just for, and here, I should be able to zoom in since it's a little, let's zoom in a bit. So they're all coming from Keep as the source. The medium, the medium is email. The campaign, now this is something that I do specifically with Keep, but you can use it with other things too. I actually have the name of the automation, or I have the automation in there, and the app name. So I know this is coming from my Voyix account and automation number 3999, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what this is. So like, not only did it come from Keep, not only did it come from an email, it also came from this specific campaign. Okay, now let's go even further. Well, okay, cool. Inside this automation, there's a ton of emails. Which specific email? Well, this is for campaign of the month, send number 1. Send number 1. Okay? And then, oh, go ahead.
I said, yeah, no, cool, I got it.
Yep. And then the only thing that's different is I have CTA image versus CTA. So basically, if they click on the image, if they click on the image and go here, I know that they got to the blog post from here. As opposed to if they click on here, they just did the regular CTA, right? And then when I do the next email send, everything's the same, except the term is now different. So check this out. And I don't even remember what I put in.
Email 2.
Yeah, so I did change the image, but now if we go look at it, you can see that it's basically exact same stuff, except Now the term is different. So now it's column number 2.
Okay.
So I know down to the exact click. How did they get there? Which is the entire point of UTMs, right? Okay.
Right.
So now that's sending the little kid home with the note. How do you actually look at that inside Google Analytics? Before we do that, though, Heather, since you're learning this, what questions do you have, or anybody that's watching? What questions? Feel free to leave in the comments. Or is there any? Wow, is it clicking with you?
So the thing is and that's one of the reasons. So like I understand. This is another one of those places where, like, I know just enough to be dangerous, but not enough for it to actually be effective. And because it's something for my own personal usage, I haven't really dove into this too much, right? Like, I do just enough to know a little bit, right? Where it's like, I don't get as granular as this. Where it would just be like, maybe I just did like the medium where it's like, oh, I knew it came from this email, but that was about it, right? Like I just knew which was more productive, or I really only did it in certain things, but not all across the various different points of contact that I probably should. I only was like, I'm only really interested in this marketing automation that I created. I want to know which one of these is more effective, right?
Yep.
That's about as far as I got, right? Like, did email 1, email 2, or email 3 convert? That's all I was really paying attention to.
Okay.
And then honestly, the thing that, and here's a reason why I never really dove too big into this, is I understand this and the end result of, like, the importance of using this and why it's really, really a useful tool. My problem with it is Google Analytics confuses the out of me. Like, I go in there and I'm like, there's so much that for especially my ADHD brain, as soon as my brain gets overwhelmed with the amount of information that it can put into there and get out, it stops. Like, my brain's like, nope, can't process. So that's where the disconnect is for me. I understand the UTMs. I understand better now the various different places for the granular, right? I never went that granular, but getting that to then show me what I want to see in Google Analytics and get me the info that I want, that's where my disconnect comes from. Because Google Analytics is like a black hole of data for me that I just avoid.
It is. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's exactly
what I look at it and I
people
go, oh, look, how many people went to my website? Oh, look, where did people click? Cool, that's awesome. I don't know what else to do with it.
Yep. So that's where really taking it to that next level and, using UTMs to do that. Because, like, again, this is just seeding the information. Then you got to go, like, look at it. And so I'm going to show you exactly how to do that now because it's actually really simple. When you understand conceptually, like what we're doing here, this is 3 different, 4, whatever, however many different links, all pointing to the same place, and it's all coming from the same source. Medium campaign will always be the same. I just want to see the difference in the terms, right? Or like what link are people clicking on images or the button.
And I get how this is passing the information. I don't understand how to get Google Analytics to pay attention to it and show me.
Let's do that. Let's go ahead and dive right into that. The last thing that I will say is make sure you have, when you're doing this, make sure that you're consistent or as reasonably consistent as you can, right? So, like, that's why I always like to, like, for me at least, it's always the app name and then the number. And, like, that's how I know I'm going to be reporting my stuff, or, like, when I'm running ads, it's, campaign name, ad set, because if, like...
Just like we always talk about, like, with Keep and everything, where it's, like, have some sort of structure, or will not, tags, automations, just always try and keep it as structured as possible so that you can find it later and it makes sense.
That's exactly it. You nailed it. Okay, cool. So I think I've beaten this dead horse to a pulp. Let's go ahead and look at the cool stuff of how do you actually pull this out of Google Analytics. So I got Google Analytics home here, and I should be logged into BPro. And we are. Oh, cool! This is just for yesterday. Wow, actually had plenty of people yesterday. That's awesome.
Yay! I was looking at green numbers. The green numbers are great.
Yeah, it means things are going up here. Okay, so to find this, when you go to your reports, obviously there's so much in Google Analytics. We're just looking at UTMs for right now. I'm going to go to engagement, and I'm going to go to pages and screens. Okay? And so there it is, contacting campaign of the month. Last 28 days is the date range that we're looking at here, right? So the UTMs, it actually allows us to do a breakdown from here. So to keep it simple, what I'm going to do is I'm only going to show this blog post you're looking at here. And I don't know what this data looks like. It may be a fat goose egg, and it may be a wah-wah, but we're going to find out. So I'm going to go and just isolate this to only show this, right? Okay. So this little plus sign here is how you do breakdowns. Just like you can do a breakdown of stuff in like Facebook ads or Google ads, and you can look at like one extra dimension deeper. So I'm going to hit this plus here, and there's a bunch of stuff here, but the traffic source is the UTMs piece that we're doing here. And so I'm going to, there's different types of scoping. We're doing it session scoped, and so if I go to manual now, here, look at that. Here's the source. Here's the medium. Here's the campaign name. Here's the content. Here's the term, right? So I'll start at the top and work my way down. So looking at the source here, because you can only look at one breakdown at a time. But look at this. You can see 24 of these views, most of them, they did come from Keep. But then I also got some promotion from Facebook and some from LinkedIn. And stop vision stuff. I don't even know what that is. That's okay, cool, neat. And this is also where you get to learn more about it under the hood. Like, notice how Facebook's in here like 4 different times.
Yeah, there's a couple of different weird things.
Yeah, so this is like they did it for mobile. This is that it was a link that was shared, and I think this is a link in Messenger or something like that. And then this is main Facebook. So it's far beyond the scope of what we're doing today, but there are ways to consolidate this and not worry about the subdomain, so you can just see Facebook, right? But look at that. That's the UTM source of Keep. We're going to go ahead and change this. Let's go ahead and look at the medium. And I'm going to clear it and then come back to it. So now if we go by traffic source and look at the, of course I did it too fast. Come on. It's thinking. Here, let's.
Well, it's still got you sorted.
I know.
Yeah.
And by the way, you can save these searches once you've got them, so that's also something to traffic source and boo. I'm just gonna.
Broke it.
Yeah, I broke it. I moved too fast. Let's go back. Pages and screens. Okay.
There we go.
Cool. All right. So now let's do traffic source manual, and now let's look at the medium.
Okay.
So there you go. There's 24 from Keep, and then.
So there's an option that says source and medium.
Yep. So going back to the UTM builder. So yeah, you can. So we can do session source and medium together if we really wanted to. But that's kind of distinct.
Show you exactly. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, because again, you're clicking down and down. So here's where it gets really cool. So right, we can say, okay, cool. 24 people hit this blog post from Keep, and it was an email. Okay, fine. Now let's go look at the. Oh, I just needed to scroll up. Let's look at the campaign name here. And there you go. There's the 3997. Oh my God, what's this? EA169979. Well, that is the B Pro account.
Oh, okay.
So there's actually 2 Keep accounts that I'm emailing from. I'm emailing from my Voinex one, and then B Pro is EA169, and it's campaign number 979.
Very
so
cool.
Look at that. So I bet you weren't expecting that, and neither was I. But you know what? This really demonstrates the power of this kind of stuff and how being in alignment and consistent, right? I use the same UTM parameters between both accounts. It's all sourcing the same data. So now if I go look, now looking down at the term, I think, there you go. So we can see that obviously most of the traffic came from the first send, and then only 3 clicks came from the second send. Second send just went out yesterday.
Because you set it up in Keep to know that that if they don't, like if I remember correctly from prior, just jumping in here, it was set up where they don't get the second email if they clicked on the first.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So you know that those 3 people are not repeat people. They're new people. They didn't click on both.
Yep. Okay, cool. Now you're ready for the coolest part. So what we've done now is we've gone source, medium, name, term. Now we're going to get to the actual specific links. Which links are people clicking on? So let's now go look at the content, the ad content here. Look at that. Most people clicked on the button, but a couple people clicked on the image.
Okay. That's very useful. That's cool.
That is. Yeah. However, this is but this is all aggregate information. So, like, how do I know which of these came from the first send versus the second send? Right? So, this is where we get into filtering the source traffic based on these same parameters. But before we get to that, are we putting 2 and 2 together on?
Yeah.
I set the UTM parameters as this. This is how I go see it inside Google Analytics.
Yes.
Okay. So now let's go a little deeper here. So I'm going to go and let's go back to the campaign name here, because there is a distinction between the the 2 apps. So by default, if we scroll all the way up, Google Analytics is looking at 100% of all traffic. So if we want to filter that, we can filter it by a bunch of different ways, including the UTMs.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm going to go add a filter over here. I'm going to move our thing here. Now we have our dimensions. So if I say the campaign name, and I could do contains. I always have to do like a matches partial regex for some reason, but now I can say, the campaign name as voice, right?
This is the type of stuff that really messes, because I'm like, I don't know what matches partial regex means.
Well, I'll show you why. Because if I go to contains voix and I apply this,
all of them, right?
Well, it actually is. It is working here. But yeah, no. So the campaign name contains voix. There it is. Now, if I go and look at the now if I go ahead and look at the term, I can see specifically, okay, of the traffic that I know came from the Voyix app, 15 of those came from one, 15 came from those 2. Okay, cool. And then now we have the same thing of like, what about the content? Did they come from CTA? Well, we can now also add that extra filter in here. So we can now say, okay, not only is the session manual campaign name, this is also the term. Session manual term contains, and now this is where I'm going to go back to my notes here, com1. So the first send, right? There you go. So now we can see that from the first send of the Voyix app, again, most of them came from the call to action. 2 of them clicked on the image. Exactly. And then if I wanted to, I could just go ahead and change this and say, cool, go ahead and show me the second send. Where did these ones come from? And look at that. Every single one of those came from the CTA. Nobody clicked on the image. Cool. And then if I were to change this to, say, the EA169, so the other account, which I'm realizing I'm exposing how little, how small my list and my traffic and stuff is. But honestly, I did this for clients. It's a cobbler's kid kind of thing, right? In fact, it's a little easier to look at the smaller numbers here. But same thing. Yeah. So out of all the traffic that came from the EA169 for the first send, Out of those 6 clicks,
hit the image.
they all hit the image. Real interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because before everybody was the button. And
Yeah.
then if we look at send number 2, nothing. They actually nobody clicked off send number 2 from the other one.
Well, I think from
Which
that
it's a
one,
smaller list too.
Everybody came from the first email.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's what the data would say.
Yeah.
So that's how you do this kind of stuff. And of course, so we've spent all this time getting in here and setting this up. It's a pain in the ass to do that every single time. So once you've got this figured out, now is where you can go ahead and you can share this as a report. There's a distinct link for it if you want a deep link to this to somewhere. You can go ahead and export this report officially into the analysis part, and it kind of pre-builds it for you so you can go look at this. But yeah, that's how we get UTM data out of analytics and also do breakdowns based on that kind of stuff here. So
that's very cool. Now here's something that, so this is really cool for me when it comes to like, so this is helpful, so it helps me find where that information ends up, where I can find that data.
Yep.
Because again, knew what all the UTM stuff was to an extent. Again, not as granular, but was like, I know that this information is being passed, and I know it gets to Google Analytics, but where I find it, how I, see it is another thing. The other question that I have is, so for example, so this is great because then the purpose is like, okay, great, I sent an email, I want to find out how many people or how effective these pieces of emails are to getting people to where I want to send them.
Right.
Now when it comes to, if I'm sending them, like obviously in this case it was a blog post, but if I'm sending them to a sales page and then I want to find out what's converting to sales better, is it you just find out like how many of these people who click this ended up on this other page? Like my thank you page?
No.
Or is this where you get into like, oh, you gotta put pixels in and tracking codes and stuff like that on thank you pages? That's another place I get super lost.
Yeah, this is where you start to get to conversion events here, which did I set these up for? I don't know if I did. So that's something that they changed that with Google for a little bit that I'm still getting clear on, but this is where events show up. So basically,
yeah, that's the other part that kills me. I'm like, y'all keep changing stuff. I finally sort of get it, and then you change it to something else, and now I have to relearn where everything is.
Well, this is where the events and things come in. Do I have? Is the sign up one? Is that the one that I was using? I think it was generate lead. Maybe it was. But then this is where now you would have events, right? So on this page, actually, people can go ahead and opt in to get the one-click install for this campaign of the month. So I should have, when they fill that out,
this is great.
It should send over an event.
You can know how many people clicked it to actually download it and install.
Assuming that I set my stuff up correctly, yeah, it should.
Sorry.
So,
okay.
No, this is great. Because it's much easier to do with things like Facebook and Google Ads and those kinds of things. What I am doing is I am sending over the events when people opt in. But again, they made a distinction between events and like key events, and I'm still trying to like understand that. But that's basically it. So that's the answer to your question, is we would eventually do events from there.
Okay, so basically you set up an event and you set the parameters for that of like, this event is someone downloading it.
Yeah.
Right? And if they download it, that's the event, and now I can track it back to see of that email where I set up the UTM parameters and I set, like comes from Keep and it's this automation and it's this email and it's this call to action. The person who clicked that call to action then triggered this event by downloading this automation.
Yes.
And you track that all the way through.
So I'm looking at the GA settings, and here's events. And I've got these events here, and I do have, So I do have sign up, but then I also have a key event here. There you go, lead customer profile here. Oh, you know what? That's something that I'm still troubleshooting myself. So I do have an event for when people do download a customer profile, and it's technically, yeah, it's a sending over event. Actually, if I look at all time, or like the last 12 months, there should be some stuff in here. So yeah, like sign up, right? So this sign up is, that's what I wasn't able to figure out how to, because we're sending over a sign up event and then break down the specific thing that they signed up for, but that's where it would show up. So
well, and that whole thing with the automation push and the what's it? God, I always forget the stupid name of it. Launchpad. That whole thing, since that's all new, you've got to set up.
Oh yeah, I got to set all that stuff up too.
Yeah. No, I totally get it, but that's helpful because that's like this is the part of, again, there's so much in Google Analytics that it's just like my brain just like baby furlocks when I come in here, and there's so many different points of data that I could be tracking where I'm like, I don't even know. So being able to chat with you and say, all right, I just need not that this is simplistic, but I just need the most like basic.
Yeah.
Set this up to track it here. Like, yes, I could do all of it. You know what I mean? It's sort of like when we're building automations for clients and stuff like that, where it's like, yeah, you could do this humongous thing, but
there you go.
Start with this. Let's start here and get just at least a decent amount of data. and start with that before you start making it way more complex than it needs to be.
Yeah.
And that's really what I need help with, because I look at all the, I could do this and I could do that, and then it's just overwhelming. So if I can have just a basic start here, enter this basic data in, at least track it to this. You don't necessarily have to get as granular as you are here, but at least, like, people who came from this marketing automation bought this thing. Cool. That one works really well.
Yes.
And then I can get granular into the emails if I really need to. But
and then I found it. Here's how it is. So here's the event count for the sign up, and now I'm not, there's just so much to do, and I'm the only one on my team that can set this stuff up. So I do need to train Justin on how to do this. In fact, I'm going to have him watch this. But here it is. Here's the sign up, so you can see. So 7 people signed up for the database structure sheet, and then 2 people got the customer profile request. There you go, and that's because I'm sending over a sign up event when they hit the thank you page. And if for an example like a purchase, if there was money associated with it, then that's also where I would see the total revenue. Yeah. What I'm now I'm super curious. I got to figure out, because there is a generate lead event. I'm pretty sure I'm sending that over, and I'm not sure why it's not showing up in here, but that's Google Tag Manager, and come in from there. But yeah, this is how you would do that. So
that's very cool.
All right, so I guess let's just do a quick recap at the end here. So basically, UTM parameters here. You always want to be as consistent as you can with the sources and the mediums, as well as how you do your campaign names, and then making sure that you're having distinct, a distinct term for each asset, and then for each possible link click, it's distinct in here, right? Even if it's all going to the same page. And then inside Google Analytics, when you're looking at the pages, I'm going to go, what was it, 20, 21? Oh, that's because I'm looking at, yeah. So when you're looking at, I want the page path. There you go. There you go. So when you're looking at here, looking at the views, you can now do the breakdown based off from the traffic source using the various UTMs that you've done here. And then when you want to go ahead and only look at that one chunk of traffic here, this is where you would go up and filter, again, based on the same kind of stuff. So, and
so
contains works now.
Once
Contains didn't used to
for
work.
example, if I have an ongoing, evergreen, automation that is just constantly running, I can set these parameters up and then save them, and then just one-click it and be like, all right, show me how this was doing for the past, quarter or whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's
very cool.
That's it. So there's got to be a test on this, Heather. So make sure that you say. Yeah.
I'm glad that it's something that's recorded and saved on my end too, because I guarantee you, in about an hour, my brain's gonna forget about 85% of it.
Well, that's
so
it's a lot.
It back when I go to actually start setting this all up for various things.
Yeah, I will admit that it's a lot. It's definitely taken me a few years to fully, develop this skill set, and it really does happen in those phases. It's like, first just get good at making sure that you're seeding the data correctly. Send your little digital kids home with the stuff pinned to their shirts. Cool. Then get good at looking how to break it down, and then from there start looking at, okay, well, now filtering a little more meaningfully, and then there's the layer of, okay, well, now let's make sure we're setting over the conversions in here. So there's a lot, man. If you're going to do something, you might as well be pro, and there's a lot to be in pro here. And you would be shocked at how many even large corporations don't really know this. I've spoken to a lot of big marketing people, and they don't really know how UTMs work. So just the fact that you get this, even if you conceptually get it and you know that it's possible to pull this data, sadly you're ahead of a lot of other people.
I know conceptually, and I know that UTMs are important, and I know the data, that data should be going in there. I just was not fully sure what's the best way for me to use this effectively and make it worth the time to get it all set up and running. So.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure if I'm going to do it, that I do it right from the get-go, and I start out with good habits and good information, and not just, because you and I, we've seen, the ramifications of things just being thrown into, and then you're like, oh God, I got to clean that up now.
Oh, totally. So, and you can look at this. Here's how often I emailed my list in Q2. I didn't. And you can clearly see that behavior here. But there you go. Here's all the latest things that I've been doing here.
How we are all the cobbler's children have no shoes, right?
Sure don't.
We don't do, and that's what I'm trying to do. That's one of the big reasons why I'm kind of tapping people you on the shoulder to be like, hey, all right, it's about time for me to start doing for myself what I do for everybody else, so that I can, actually start. Seeing the results that we get for everybody else.
Yeah, and this is interesting. And you can just you can dig into this stuff all day, so don't get super lost. But here's the campaign talking about oak, like I talked about earlier, and this is of course the newsletter campaign that we send out. But automation 3060 has actually sent more traffic. What campaign is that?
If they're basing it on numbers, that one's way down the line.
What campaign is that? Oh, it's my repeating referral request campaign.
Look at that.
So look at that. So anytime you're a client, I won't go ahead and you get to wonder what that looks like. But yeah, any client that we ever have, we're asking them for referrals repeatedly, and holy cow, look at this. People are actually opening those emails and clicking. Even if they're not responding to me, they're getting it. So, good.
Yeah, and that's why this stuff is really cool. So that's again why the UTMs are really important. So that because you wouldn't have thought that necessarily.
No, I certainly would not have. And then what is this home nanny? There's again, you can get super lost. So, but at least the data's there and it's real clean. So, I'm curious of what this home new is, because that I don't think anybody should be going there.
So that's it. That's also helpful to be like, Are people doing alright on them?
Yeah, this thing ain't launched yet, as far as I'm aware. What's the term for this one? And then campaign of the month number one.
That's from last month. No, is that the one we were just doing?
Yeah, that's the one we were just doing. Where is that link?
Well, is this so? Here's a question then.
Yeah, that's one that should not.
If they originally come from that CTA and they go to your page, but then they click somewhere else, is that the information? It's like they originally came to your site from the call to action, but now they've clicked on your other page. Is that where the traffic is?
That's a great distinction. That's the difference between the user scoped and the manual. So the first whatever, that's what it's sticking to. And then this is per session. So like, I'm sorry, we were just looking at the top. I want to see the manual term. And is there a link that I don't know about? Well, you saw it here first, y'all. I don't know what that link might be pointing to. So, all right. Well, now I'm gonna go figure out what the heck.
I sent you down another rabbit hole.
You sent me down a rabbit hole, yeah, because we've not promoted this yet. I don't even think it's ready to be promoted. So I mean, maybe. It's one active user.
Maybe testing.
It's
like
me.
You or
it's
yeah,
me.
You. It's
That's
you.
me. And I've recently clicked through when testing my UTMs. Woo! So now this is where I get into things like exclusions. Like, let's exclude certain types of traffic.
I want to test how often I show up on my site.
Okay. Yeah, no, and this totally makes sense.
For a really long time.
Yeah. Woo! Well, that scared myself there, but yeah. But I looked at one active user, and that's me. And I bet if we look at, yeah, look at that. That would have been when we looked at this kind of stuff.
Doing stuff on it. That's funny. Yeah, I always try to set up my stuff because I'll make myself get really excited. Like I'll go on to my Google Analytics. I'm like, oh my god, look at all the traffic, and I'm like, oh wait, that's all me from while I was adding my new course in.
That's funny. Yeah. Okay.
Not nearly as exciting.
No, it's not. But I think that was great to look at. So
yes.
All right. Can you believe it's been 42 minutes?
I cannot. That's really cool, though. I thank you so much for giving me some of your time.
You're welcome.
To help me.
Thanks for being a guinea pig and hanging out live. Because, yeah, hopefully a bunch of people get some value out of this. And then I'm going to go turn around and I'll use this as the basis for my next newsletter because I've been wanting to talk about this forever. And so just kind of naturally talking through it. Yeah. Because it's a deep topic. There's a lot to it.
It is. And there's so much, and that's like I said, that's why I wanted to check with you because there is so much that you can do with it. But the simple fact that there is so much that you can do with it has made me just not do anything, and that it's not helpful. So I need to at least get some beginning pieces done, and then later I can expand on it. But that's why I was like, I'll talk to Paul because Paul has an idea. You're always very helpful, and I appreciate it.
Well, I super appreciate you asking questions and being part of this and everything that you just do in general. So I guess we should probably stop the stream. So let me go ahead and stop streaming on OBS, and then when I see